we've just been caught up going with the flow for so long, and most people are generally trusting that we look at our world and we expect other people to be like we are. We aim to do people the right way and live with honor and integrity, and we've been duped. And it's really hard after a lifetime of having American pride pumped into your psyche to admit that you've been tricked. But you either admit that you have a problem and you start taking steps to address that, or you don't. If you take steps to correct the problem that you have admitted that you have, then you have a chance at correcting the problem. If you keep burying your head in the sand, they're going to pick off the resistors a little bit at a time until there's no resistance left, and then the useful idiots become useless eaters. There's no justifiable reason to keep you around anymore. And this has happened at other points in history. I mean, you look at what happened in China from 58 to 62, great leap forward. You look at the Holocaust that happened. All the Jewish people were rounded up and sent to concentration camps. You look at the great famine that happened in Ukraine when Stalin exported all of the food, and at least 7 million people died in 1 year. At least 50 million people died in China in the Great Leap Forward. And then we hear today rumors of the Great Reset. Guys, if our society was set up for the benefit of the people, things wouldn't look the way that they do. We've come this far technologically, but we've got people dying of cancer and heart disease and diabetes and totally preventable things. It's the medical establishment, most of the people that are in there, they really believe that they're doing a good job. And they don't have ill intent. They're just they did what they had to do to get where they're at, and they're just going through the process of following the directives that they're given, and they believe in that, and they're emotionally invested, and they've put time and all the effort into achieving their professional status, and they're trusting too. They trust that the things they've been taught, they trust that the treatment protocols that are coming to them are the best methods available. They never for a minute have most of them, they're just not suspecting that the people who are establishing the treatment protocols are purposely putting protocols in place that are causing people to die. That's just so hard for people to process how that could be the case, because by nature we're trusting people. Ronald Reagan said to trust but verify. It's time to verify. Let's actually look at the state of our society. Okay, you've got so many unhealthy people. It didn't happen that way by accident. When there are people that are doing things like what we see in professional sports and Olympians that are on these amazing diet regimens, they're on perfect strength and conditioning programs. They've got it rocking and rolling on every level. When we see that that's a possibility, but then we see what things look like for the average person, you got to ask yourself, why is it that way? And some people are, I like food, and I like being lazy, and I like my alcohol, and I like my tobacco. No, you don't. You keep yourself hopped up on those things, and you're getting the releases from the hormones in your brain that gives you a superficial feeling of happiness and contentment. But really, I mean, think about it. You are having to poison yourself so that you can tolerate your life. That's not happiness. That's not real. That's la la land. There's a reason why people feel that way. There's a reason why people are so superficial and focused on trivial things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. It's called chemical and psychological warfare. What we're going through and what we've been going through for decades, it is it's a slow process. The people that are sitting at the top of the global system, their legacy, the people that came before them, they've realized that if you go at somebody head on, they're gonna fight back. But if you can be deceptive and go at people in a way where they don't even know you're coming at them, it's easy to wear them down and get them to the point where they don't resist. It's kind of like the frog in the pot of water, and you put a frog in there and it's just normal room temperature, and then you turn the heat up, and as you turn it up incrementally, the frog, it's too late. And that's really what we have going on in our society in this era. And there's so many people that are just so asleep. I mean, look, if things were really set up in a way where we were prepared to thrive, our regulations and codes wouldn't look the way that they do. I mean, if people really like Democrat policies or they really like Republican policies, we don't even have to segregate geographically. If you want Republican Party policies, vote for those. That's what you live under as far as your taxes, your regulations, so on and so forth. If you want Democratic policies and regulations, then that's what you sign up for, and you live under those policies for, a 4-year period of time. That creates competition. Things would look so much better, and there would be reasons to do the people the right way. But as it is, the way that it has been set up is you've got this dominant group of, say, the very tip top of it, there's maybe, I don't know, a couple hundred people. It's if you can't process how a few hundred people could oversee the establishment of a world government, then you are not processing how technological advancements have made that possible and how they've put all that in place. Like, it's pretty easy to oversee all of that and give the directives and have people do this, that, and whatever. I mean, what do you think government is? So you think that the Chinese government can oversee 1 billion people and they can run the way that they run, and the United States government can oversee 330 million people and all the operations that are all over, but you don't think that the heads of government and industry can coordinate with each other to make that happen? It's really just ridiculous. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a matter of fact. What do you think the Council on Foreign Relations is? What do you think the Bilderberg Group is? What do you think the Trilateral Commission is? What do you think the United Nations is? That is what it is. It's a coordinated effort. You've got the World Economic Forum it's openly saying on their website that they are a corporate world government. That's what is set and established, and they've put plans in place to transition away from using the United States. The 1900s was the century where the United States was used to do their bidding, and there was a lot of manipulation and war, and the U.S. dollar was the world reserve, has been the world reserve currency through that time period, because they needed to use a peoples with a lot of freedom to be able to accomplish their goals. But then the next phase of this is to clamp things back down. They created an illusion of freedom. They created an environment where people were irresponsible with their freedom. And then the next phase is what the model that the Chinese have, where they're monitoring everything that everyone's doing. They have social credit scores in place, and you get granted privileges based on how well you fall in line with what the established authorities are putting before you. And if you think that all of this is just happened so that things can go back to the way they were before, you are kidding yourself. You're either gonna climb up out of that pot of water as it warms and realize, hey, something's going on here, or you're gonna stay there, and it may not be much longer before you've stayed there to the point where there's no escape. I mean, just look around. Look at how inefficiently our society is ran. Why were we in Afghanistan for 20 years? Why are we even talking about that? Why are we spread out all over the world when we've got these drug cartels in Mexico? Maybe you've heard of them, that are doing some pretty horrible things. We've got these migrant caravans that are coming up through Central America, and they're just freely coming through the border, and if they've got an illness or something like that, oh well, they're just, here you go, and they're flying them all over the continental United States, putting them in different places. It's diluting the culture. They're further diluting the culture. They're bringing people in that they don't have perception of freedom the way that we know freedom. They've lived under different governments, and they understand, hey, just fall in line with what's been done. They don't understand freedom and the Constitution and the right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. They don't understand those concepts, because that hasn't been a part of their life for generations. They don't understand that. You know, if we were set up to really thrive, we would be really looking out for one another. Our diets would look different. Our activity levels would look different. I mean, look, so the standard work week, 5 days a week that you work for the man, and then you get, you have to work till the end of April, basically, before you start making money for yourself, the way that the taxes work out, and that's just on your income tax. And then you've got property tax, and you've got fees that you've got to pay, and you even to go get a fishing license. It's a fee. That's a tax. You got fuel tax. You've got property tax. You've got sales tax. I mean, they just hit you on every level. It's the greatest system of indentured servitude ever invented. And most people don't even realize they're on the hamster wheel. I mean, if our society was really set up to thrive, you work 3 days a week for the man, you get 4 days that you can do the things that you need to do. I bet a lot of people would be more willing to go to church that way. I bet they'd be more willing to invest volunteer time into their community. I bet people would be a lot more willing to do things that are beneficial for their health and wellness. I bet people would be way more informed about the events that are going on in the world around them. I bet people would be more willing to vet the political candidates that they vote for. I bet people would be able to put more time into investment opportunities that not only provide more for them and their family, but also help make society better. But they got everybody caught up on this hamster wheel, and people are thinking, oh, it's just what it is. I mean, it isn't perfect, but I mean, it's cool. I get to, work a lot of my life away, and I realize that, 75 years is 657,000 hours, and you should sleep about 8 hours a night. You work about 8 hours a day, so I get 8 hours to do all the other stuff that I want to do. We can't keep going along just to get along. It's an illusion. La La Land is not real. Okay, I saw a quote earlier. The person doesn't realize they're chained up if they don't move around. So if you're not pushing and trying to expand your horizons and your base of knowledge, and you're not really looking to step to the next level, and you're just in this rut of life, then you don't really you're not going to understand that you are a cog in the wheel, and that you are a cog in the machine, I should say, and that it's an illusion. It's just you're just being used as a purpose. As you go along, and I don't mean this in a negative way, it's just a term that's out there. It's a useful idiot. They are just using people who are none the wiser to accomplish their goals until they're done, and then the useful idiot turns into a useless eater. All this is out there. This information that has established my perception that is impactful on my worldview. It's not stuff that the regular news media has said. It's reading books. It's watching videos. It's finding the right sources of information. The people that are actually telling you the truth, not the people that are telling you the lies. The media is controlled by the people who control the corporations who advertise. That's that big club, and we ain't in it. But really what it boils down to is people they've got to seek God. The Bible says, draw near to God and God will draw near to you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, which is right standing with God, and everything else will take care of itself. God's wanting to impart the actions that people need to take, but people are too afraid that they're going to have to give up something that they like superficially. People are too afraid that, I can't have my beers, or I can't have my doobies, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, and that's going to be too hard for me to overcome that, and I can't stop, thinking about the opposite sex, or I can't bring my thoughts into captivity, and I can't stop cheating people, I can't stop cheating on my spouse. God wants all of you, but he is not an all or none God. If you'll commit your plans to the Lord, hey, he understands. He doesn't want you to sin. God hates sin, okay? But he'd rather you say, you know what, I'm gonna work on these 3 things, even though I've got 4 more that I need to take care of too. These 3 most pressing things in my life that I need to eliminate, I'm gonna eliminate so that I can have better perception of the way things actually are. That way the Spirit of God can communicate what I need to do going forward so that I can be impactful in the culture war. Because realistically, what society has to do is they have to be able to withdraw from what's going on. But we can't do that collectively when we have so many people that don't even really understand what is going on. You've got, communities that could come together and say, you know what, we are not going to send our tax revenues to the state and federal government anymore. We're going to set up a community fund right here. You've got communities that could come together and have contingency plans. That they should be doing that, but they're not. And you can have conjunction between different pastors of churches that actually understand what's going on, and law enforcement and city councils. But you can't effectively do that if you're still going on doing things the way that they've been done before. Things are going to have to be done differently in order to pivot and create parallel cultures in society. So you don't go along to get along anymore. You just don't participate in what is being forced on everyone. Stop going to Walmart as often. You may not be able to do it all at once. It may just be pieces that you're able to put in place, but you've got to commit to making changes. You cannot just keep going along to get along, because it is like a frog in a pot of water and the temperature is rising. Crazy, perilous times. We can win this, but people have got to wake up and they've got to start seeking God, and they've got to start taking some steps in a beneficial direction. God bless.